Hello and welcome to the Manchester United News channel. It's a pleasure to have you here. Please subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything happening with the Red Devils, our beloved club. Without further ado, let's dive into the latest news from Manchester United that we've prepared for you. The manager is not the main problem at Manchester United, said Ineos chairman Sir Jim Ratcliffe to Bloomberg after renewing Erik ten Hag's contract for another 2 years in July. But as Britain's richest man watched in disbelief as United suffered a disastrous 3-0 home defeat to Liverpool, you had to wonder if he still believes that statement. This result ensured that Ten Hag is now the only manager in United's history to lose 2 of the first 3 games in a Premier League season twice. When this happened in 2022-23, the Dutchman was given some slack because he was adapting to life in England after leaving Ajax. But now, there are no excuses. Manchester United continues to regress under Ten Hag's leadership, despite spending over £206 million, 1.5 billion Brazilian reals, on transfers during the window. Liverpool ruthlessly exposed the flaws in his strategy on Sunday, outclassing United in every aspect, which should be a major concern, but Ten Hag still doesn't seem to acknowledge the painful truth. "We will bounce back, we will fight for titles," he told Sky Sports after the final whistle. However, that's impossible if Ten Hag remains in charge until May. Ineos made a grave error in judgment by sticking with the Dutchman, and the club's 2024-25 campaign could be completely unsalvageable before we even reach December unless a very quick turnaround happens. Casemiro was blamed for the loss to Liverpool after a disastrous first-half performance. The Brazilian's misplaced pass led to Luis Diaz's goal in the 35th minute, and he was also at fault for the Colombian's second goal just 7 minutes later, as he was easily dispossessed in his own half. Ten Hag decided to replace Casemiro with rookie Toby Collier at halftime, which prevented the Brazilian from redeeming himself. But he certainly wasn't the only one at fault for Manchester United's shocking display. Bruno Fernandes also lost the ball easily and didn't track back, while Joshua Zirkzee underperformed with his first touch, squandering several good opportunities and clear chances. Marcus Rashford, meanwhile, once again did very little to justify his place in Ten Hag's starting lineup, often slowing the team down in transitions by backtracking instead of taking on his marker. Even the talented Kobbie Mainoo had a day to forget, compounded when he was physically outmatched by Alexis Mac Allister in the build-up to Liverpool's third goal, scored by Mohamed Salah. But the result wasn't mainly down to individual performances, rather, it was because Ten Hag continues to make the same tactical errors as last season. Manchester United pressed high when in possession and dropped deep without it, leaving large gaps in the centre of the pitch for Liverpool to exploit. This structural weakness has plagued the Red Devils for almost 2 years, and anyone who thinks that signing Manuel Ugarte will solve it is deluding themselves. However, Ten Hag completely ignored this, insisting that Liverpool was simply more clinical than United, who were in the game until Casemiro's 2 mistakes. Arne Slot's assessment, on the other hand, was much more accurate. When asked about United's system, the new Liverpool manager told Sky Sports, "Their style is, maybe it's something from last season, I don't remember well, but the fullbacks, 9 times out of 10, are very advanced, and then Casemiro drops between them. So if you win the ball back and manage to keep Diaz and Mo Salah forward, you're constantly in a one-on-one situation. Then you need midfielders who can run, and today we had 3 of them who kept running, and when they got into a duel, they were aggressive enough to win it. So I think that was one of the main reasons we managed to win today." Mac Allister and Ryan Gravenberch had colossal performances, forming triangles with Dominic Szoboszlai to play through United before feeding Liverpool's 2 main danger men. Ten Hag was completely outmaneuvered by his compatriot, which is questionable considering Slot has only been in charge at Anfield for 2 months. There are already signs that Liverpool is buying into Slot's philosophy, while United still lacks a clear playing style under Ten Hag in his 3rd season. This could be because the Liverpool manager also communicates very well, in stark contrast to Ten Hag's constant contradictions. Ten Hag adopted a defensive stance in his post-match press conference, dismissing the idea that his team hasn't progressed since last season and calling for patience as he integrates new signings. He also tried to manage expectations around Ugarte following the Uruguayan's £51 million transfer from Paris Saint-Germain, saying, "We have to integrate him into the team. That will take time, so it's not like I'm Harry Potter. That's something that must be recognized. I'm sure he will contribute to our level and be an important player, but it might take a few weeks, maybe even months. And that goes for more players, he continued. Joshua Zirkzee, he has taken great strides over the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'm very pleased with his performance today, but I didn't expect this 4 weeks ago. It was the first match for Matthijs de Ligt, the first for Zirkzee, also for Alejandro Garnacho this season. We'll be fine, but of course, we have to improve. 6 of Manchester United starters against Liverpool were brought to the club by Ten Hag. Andre Onana, Casemiro, and Lisandro Martinez have been at Old Trafford for 2 years, essentially forming 3/4 of the Red Devils' spine. Ten Hag wasn't starting from scratch in the last window. He completed the rebuild that began in 2022 by bringing Zirkzee, Nasser Mazraoui, de Ligt, and Ugarte into his squad. Therefore, he has no right to ask for more time. This is his team, and he is solely responsible for the ongoing failures. We can't forget that he also endorsed the £85 million deal for Antony, who now can't even make the starting lineup, and the arrivals of Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount for a combined £135 million. Despite spending a fortune, United is further than ever from closing the gap to Manchester City at the top of the table. And the longer Ten Hag remains in charge, the deeper the hole his eventual successor will have to dig the club out of. Ineos's key off-field appointments, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, and Jason Wilcox, watched United's latest disastrous display and must have left Old Trafford knowing there won't be a quick fix. While the visiting fans joyfully chanted, "Ten Hag's at the wheel," a throwback to the same song sung for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer during a 5-0 defeat to Liverpool in 2021, Ratcliffe surely wished he could turn back time to May. No matter how many top-level figures he brings in behind the scenes, the Ineos revolution simply cannot take off with Ten Hag leading the team. Ratcliffe allowed himself to be swept up in the euphoria of United's surprise FA Cup final victory over Manchester City and gave Ten Hag a pass for the club's worst-ever Premier League campaign. Ratcliffe's first instincts were correct, as several candidates were interviewed to replace Ten Hag, including former Bayern boss Thomas Tuchel. Mauricio Pochettino was available after leaving Chelsea, and United also shortlisted former first-team assistant Kieran McKenna after seeing him guide Ipswich Town back to the Premier League. Any of these managers would have been better qualified for the United job than Ten Hag. 2 of them are still looking for work now, but not for long. It's also likely that neither Tuchel nor Pochettino would be attracted to the role if the Red Devils are out of the top 4 race before the halfway point of the season. United's best option, then, might be to hand the reins to Ten Hag's assistant, Ruud van Nistelrooy, even if only on an interim basis at first. As a club idol, he could command the dressing room's respect in a way Ten Hag never could, and as one of the greatest goal scorers football has ever seen, he could properly address the team's lack of penetration in the final third. New leadership is essential for United to start moving forward. It's been clear for a long time that Ten Hag is out of his depth, and there's no point in prolonging his stay to try to mitigate the mistake. Yes, Ineos would have to pay a hefty sum to sack Ten Hag, but it's worth it in the long run. Even considering all of Ten Hag's transfer market mistakes, one player stands out as the main symbol of his questionable work so far. Rashford has become something of the manager's darling after scoring 30 goals in the Dutchman's first year, but since then, he has regressed to the point of becoming a major liability. After another poor performance against Liverpool, Rashford is now 12 games without a goal in all competitions. He has just 8 goals in the last 18 months, and his overall contribution to the game ranges from poor to completely non-existent. Boos echoed around Old Trafford when Garnacho was substituted for Amad Diallo on Sunday, but they weren't directed at the young Ivorian. The Old Trafford crowd was expressing their frustration with Rashford remaining on the pitch when he should have been the first player taken off. The situation has become so dire that Rashford even missed a clear opportunity to equalise when United was still 1-0 down, showing no confidence to shoot and instead backpassing to Zirkzee, who was promptly tackled by Ibrahima Konate. After watching this debacle, Ineos may finally realise that Rashford isn't worth the £375,000 per week contract he's expected to sign. United's number 10 is hardly the only player to have regressed under Ten Hag, but he's the most obvious example of why the Dutchman's time at Old Trafford must come to an end soon. And this was today's news, folks. If you enjoyed the content, please leave your comment and subscribe to the channel to not miss any Manchester United updates. See you in the next video.